Hello, thank you for tuning in. This is the All Talk Sports Show. As always, I'm RJ. That's Sean. Thank you for watching. Please, if you enjoy our stuff, or even if you don't enjoy it, that's really up to you. But please like, please subscribe. If you like our stuff, please tell us. Please comment. If you don't like our stuff, we like to hear criticism too. Just anything you want. Just let us hear it. But otherwise, thank you for tuning in. The playoffs, we're back. We're back, and it was actually a very fun week. There was a lot better games than what than what I thought there was going to be.
I thought it'd be an entertaining weekend of football. You were kind of down on some of the games. I thought it was going to be a good weekend of football.
I
And
was
for the most part, it was.
I was way wrong. There was a lot of entertaining games that I thought were not going to be entertaining at all. So I'll I learned my lesson. I'll remember that. I'll remember that. But let's get right into it. The wild card round was kind of just what it said. It was wild. I'll start out. The Bills beat the Colts at home by 3. No, we both knew the Bills were going to win, but you actually took the Colts in the spread. Um, yeah, just talk to me about
Yeah,
you being right.
that that was a really good game. Uh, the Colts had a chance to win that. They really did. But had it to the Bills. They won. Uh, I thought the Colts would be able to run the ball. They were able to run the ball, slow it down a little bit. Uh, Even when they were passing the ball, they stayed in bounds. They kept the clock running. They shortened the game. Kept the ball. Their time possession I think was double the Bills going into the fourth quarter. And the game plan was right. Just Bills was a little better team.
Yeah, yeah. There's no argument there. The Bills are that's the only reason they won that game is because the Bills are just slightly better. They got a better quarterback. They're just slightly better all around. That's the only reason they won that game.
So what do you think about it? Do you think Philip Rivers should come back another year?
Actually, yes. The I think the Colts should be happy with this season. Um, this is
I
this
think they should be thrilled.
this season was not a fail. I mean, even though you lose in the wild card game, you lose to the second best team by 3. This is not a failed season by any means. Yeah, you keep Philip Rivers and maybe add a little bit more in your secondary. Maybe get some strength in your secondary, and who knows, you might be going to the divisional round next year.
Yeah, Philip Rivers still playing at a high level.
Yep.
He's a competitor. I understand, these get to be a certain age and you start thinking about wanting to spend time with. He's like 100 kids or something. Maybe he wants to spend time with them. But I think he's a competitor, and I think he's got a really good team around him, and I think he'll make a decision to come back.
Yeah, just make some off-season moves. Maybe try to, like I said, strengthen your defense a little bit, or maybe even work on that offensive line a little bit. Which the Colts have. Their offensive line's not bad, but I mean, no offensive line is just perfect. But just a few tweaks here and there. The Colts are a good team. So run it back
Absolutely.
with Philip Rivers all the way. Next up, let's talk about um, the real upset of the eternity. The Rams beating the Seahawks 30-20.
Yeah, did you watch that game? Did you watch it?
Yes, I hate the Rams. I hate the Rams.
I grew up in LA, and I've been a lifelong Rams hater. Yeah. How about Wolford getting hurt and Goff coming in and saving the day?
Yeah, isn't that ridiculous? And they just outplayed them. I mean, they just flat out outplayed in every single aspect. If,
The Russell Wilson just didn't have a moment to himself back there. They were all in his face all game long. He just didn't have time back there.
no, and that's I mean, other than Russell Wilson was a very poor performance from the Seahawks.
Yeah.
And even Russell Wilson, I mean, didn't have a chance to shine at all. That's pretty much the season. That was the Seahawks all season. Was you have Russell Wilson, but you don't have a team around him, and it showed. It showed right there. You can win regular season that way, but you can't win in the playoffs like that.
And Metcalf, great talent for on the outside for the Seahawks, but he's got to learn to curb his emotions, man. Because I think the first interception Russell Wilson threw was because Metcalf threw a fit on the sidelines, like a few minutes before, and I think he was just forcing the ball to Metcalf, trying to make him happy, and it got picked. And so, Metcalf's got to grow up a little bit. He's a great wide receiver, but you got to learn to curb your emotions on that sideline, and realize it's not a one man. You realize it's not a one man game. If you're not getting the ball thrown to you, maybe it's because you're getting double covered, and maybe somebody else is going to be open. It's a team game, and he's got to figure that out.
Yeah, the Seahawks have a really nice 3 on offense, and they just they're not super young, but they just lack maturity. They definitely just lack maturity. They have Metcalf. Metcalf's really good. Chris Carson, I love my boy Chris Carson, and then Russell Wilson. That's a really nice 3 right there that you should be able to win some games with, but they just don't have the maturity. I don't know. What if you're the Seahawks? What do you do? What do you do differently? I mean, what do you do this off season to fix this disaster of a season they had?
I think you start on the defensive side of the ball. Wagner's still playing pretty high level, but he's not getting any younger, man. I guess got some years on him, and I think you got to shore it up on the defense.
Yeah. I totally agree. Because I pointed out some offensive weapons that they have. If you have they have a decent running game. They obviously have a good quarterback, and then you have somebody to pass the ball to. You can win with that as long as you have a good defense, and the Seahawks. So I couldn't agree with you more.
So what do you make of Goff now? And what do you make of that situation over there?
He had a good day, but I mean, 355 yards, 1 touchdown. Goff didn't just save the day for him. I mean, he had a good game, but it wasn't all Jared Goff. I mean, they had a great day running the ball. They had a good day running the football. I'm not off of Goff yet. Goff is not a great quarterback. He's a decent quarterback. If that, I'm not sold on Goff yet.
I got to tell you, I think it should be an open competition with Wolford and Goff going in next year. I think Wolford showed me something. He's mobile and he throws a nice ball.
Yeah, he actually does. It's games like this where, obviously the Rams need a quarterback. Jared Goff cannot get it done. But then it's games like this where, do they need a quarterback? Jared Goff really didn't do anything, and they come out and win pretty handily. I mean, it was only a 10-point game, but that's a pretty handing win. So, gosh.
Yeah, you never got the feeling that the Rams defense was going to let them score, the points needed to win that game. I never got the feeling that the Rams defense was going to fall apart and give up, 10, 14 points in a row, unanswered.
No, and maybe that's all you do this offseason is look for a good quarterback if you're the Rams. I mean, obviously, I mean, you're going to the divisional round in the playoffs, so I mean, obviously, this is a good season for the Rams, but um, I mean, maybe that's where you start. just just work your quarterback situation out. Try to find something.
Yep.
All right,
Okay.
so the Bucks beat the Redskins by 8. Um, it was a little bit closer than what I thought it was going to be. Actually, I'm pleasantly surprised with Washington this season. So
It was a fun game to watch, and but again, you never got the feeling the Buccaneers are going to lose that game,
no,
even while you were watching it. I was sitting there like, even though I picked the Bucks, I think you did too. I was for my pick's sake, I was picking the Bucks, but in my heart, I was like, man, I kind of hope Washington knocks them off, but you never got the feeling that was really going to happen. But it
you
was a
know
fun game.
it's pretty crazy that Washington is a little bit better than their record says. Um, they were able to hold on. I mean, an 8-point loss to the Bucks, but the Bucks are not a bad team. I mean,
I
going into the end of the season, the Bucks started to show what we thought they were going to show
yeah,
all year. Um,
right.
Washington might be a lot closer than what we're giving them credit for.
Uh, that Heineke, their quarterback, I was impressed with him.
Yeah,
I think he'd started one game before that.
yeah.
But he once they let him get comfortable in the first quarter, and he started to get comfortable, and he's not the reason why they lost that game.
No,
He played
not
a
at
good
all.
game.
Not at all. He threw just about as good as Tom Brady did.
Yeah,
He threw just about as good as Tom Brady did.
and
He threw
Alex
for
Smith.
306. Go ahead.
Alex Smith is as good a story it was for him coming back from the leg. He's not the future.
No, no. He might have just lost his job. That was a good
Yeah,
performance. Uh, you know, Washington is a better team than their record shows, and they're a lot closer than what we thought they are. It's time to improve the running game. If you're the Washington
yeah,
Redskins, you gotta get yourself a running back that's gonna consistently run the ball well. Your leading rusher is your starting quarterback that runs for 46 yards. That's pretty poor. Um, if Washington has a consistent running back, you know, they might have a winning record. They might beat the Bucks, honestly.
Hey, your volume went way down. Did you touch your mic or something?
Uh, can you still not hear me?
I can hear you, but barely.
Hmm.
I can hear you well enough to go on. I just didn't know whether you were aware
Well,
there was
I
something that
didn't
happened.
I didn't wear my mic today. I didn't know if I'd need it or not. Hopefully it'll get back in before too long. If not, I'll wear my mic tomorrow, or not tomorrow, next week. Um, so anyway, I want to move on. Let's move on. The Ravens beat the Titans by 7. What in the world is going on? Uh, the Ravens are a good team, but gosh, Derrick Henry, what in the world, man? What in the world?
Yeah, that's kind of confusing to watch, man. Ravens played well enough. Ravens played well. I mean, as much as I hate to admit it, they played a good game. Titans, though, what went wrong in that game?
Well, I mean, is really what went right for the Ravens. They're just able to stop Derrick Henry. Um, I mean, Derrick Henry had 18 carries for 40 yards. That's what went wrong. 40 yards. I mean, we knew Ryan Tannehill. I mean, Ryan Tannehill's not a great quarterback. You know, he's decent and he gets the job done, but he's not a great quarterback. And you knew all season Tennessee was relying on Derrick Henry, and it showed it right here. Derrick Henry has 40 yards, and they lose to the Ravens, which they should not. They should not have lost to the Ravens. The Ravens have been so up and down all year. Uh,
Yeah, Tannehill's your classic game manager type quarterback. You know,
mm,
put a good team around him. He can win you some ball games. But if you have to rely on him, you're in trouble,
you can't.
especially
Yeah,
in the playoffs.
exactly. Yeah, you
I
can't.
love their big wide receiver, Brown.
Yeah,
That guy's a monster.
yeah, he is.
I've been checking him out all year. He's got a chance to be an elite wide receiver in the next 3 years. I
Oh
really
yeah,
like that guy.
yeah. So if you're the Titans, really, this offseason, if I'm the Titans, I dedicate this whole offseason to getting an offensive line that is proactive in helping run the football. Because obviously, if Derrick Henry doesn't show up, the Titans might as well count themselves out of the game. So, um, and that's the only thing I really see. I mean, there's Tannehill works. I mean, Tannehill's not great, and you really want a great quarterback, but Tannehill works fine. He's got receivers. Derrick Henry's obviously a beast. You just, the defense got to him this game, and the Titans' main offseason concern should be making sure the defense doesn't get to Derrick Henry next time.
Yeah, offensive line is always a good place to start. Their defense wasn't fabulous this year, but when you have a ball control offense and you can run the ball, your defense doesn't have to be elite because your defense isn't on the field as much as some other defenses. So yeah, offensive line is always a good place to go, especially when you got you got a guy like Henry and you want to protect Tannehill because he's Tannehill. he's that guy.
Yeah, and the defense wasn't the problem. I mean, like, yeah, their defense wasn't great, but at the end of the day, you're 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 putting your whole farm into the fact that Derrick Henry can run for 200 yards a game, and he goes out and runs for 40 on 18 carries. That's you got to fix that. So next up, Saints beat the Bears 21-9. There's really nothing to say about that. We knew the Saints were going to win. They did. They covered the spread easy. I mean,
It was an entertaining game up until the fourth quarter, and then the Saints were just too much for him. That little trick flea flicker play where I forget the Bears wide receiver, he dropped it in the end zone, man. I'm not saying the Saints would have lost that game because of that play, but yeah, that would have made it a real fun game to watch.
yeah.
Got to help your quarterback out, man. That's your job. That's your job. It was right in his hands, man.
Well,
you got to come up with that ball.
that's just kind of sums up the Bears for you. They're just
yeah.
Dang it. Where do you even start? Where do you start? If you're the Bears, I mean they're keeping their coach, they're keeping their GM. Where do you even start?
Do you stick with Trubisky? Like teams like this, teams like the Bears. There's probably a couple other ones out there. Where they you're just about ready to give up on them, and then they do something to make you think twice about it, and now you go into the off season and you don't know what you're going to do with them.
Yep.
It was a foregone conclusion when they benched him earlier that they were moving on from him. He wasn't going to be around next season. That was it for Trubisky. And then he comes back, gets him in the playoffs, has a decent game against the Saints. Now what do you do? What do you do with him?
Yeah, I'm not sold on Trubisky yet, but
I've been sold on. But that's the thing. Like, you just don't know, right?
Right.
He's giving you just enough to think twice about And as an organization, I mean, you want to be able to make a definitive decision. You know?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't even know. I just that's
I was
just
even
kind
more
of
surprised that they made that a game until the fourth quarter. Saints just better team, a
yeah,
lot better team, really.
yeah. I'm honestly, honestly, there's no reason why it shouldn't have been more of a blowout.
Yeah,
It could have easily been, 28-9, 35-9. Could have easily been like that. Just oh well. So that was the one game that wasn't entertaining. That of the four that I said weren't going to be entertaining, I was right about that one. I That one wasn't fun to watch at all. Now on to the one that I was bowling league while this went on, and the bowling alley was going crazy because we're here in Oklahoma, surrounded by fans of Baker Mayfield. The Browns win in Pittsburgh 48-37. I was right about the Steelers, and I hate it. And I hate it because I wanted I wanted so badly to play it safe with my picks, and I wanted to beat Sean with my picks. So I went with the Steelers because I just knew that Baker Mayfield was going to disappoint me, and he didn't. But this is what I've been saying all year. Did the Steelers were way worse than what their record said they were, and there they go. They lose to the Browns in the first round.
I don't think they were necessarily worse than their record. There's a few things that bother me about this game. That happens, What are you gonna
Could
do?
you restate that? I lost you for a second.
What's that?
Could you restate that? I lost you for a second.
You lost my voice?
For a second, I did, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So the first touchdown, bad snap, stuff like that happens. Steelers come out their second drive. They're running Connor a little bit, and it looks good. He's picking up 5, 6, 7 yard chunks. And then they get down to third and short and decide to go for a pass, ball tipped, interception. A couple of minutes later, touchdown. Now you're down 14-0, like 3 minutes gone in the game. Still, it's all right, settle down. They come out and they're still running Connor. And it looks like they're going to be able to run Connor this game. Now, don't panic. You're the Steelers. Another tip ball, interception. 3 minutes left in the first quarter, you're down 28-0. And then you can't run the ball anymore. As much as I want to blame the offense, defense, if they just, there's 4 turnovers. One you couldn't help. They scored off the turnover. So there's 3 quarter where if you just give up touchdown, 2 field goals, a touchdown, a field goal, and a stop. If your defense just shows up a little bit in that first quarter, you're not in a 28-0 hole. The defense with second and third string players the week before played better than the starters did in that first quarter. It was jaw dropping. So defense showed up in the second half. I have a huge problem with Steelers offensive coordinator. Drove me crazy all year long. Do it all. The Steelers score with 2 minutes left in the first half, and you think, okay, they can get out of this half. They got them to third and long with 3 timeouts left. They're thinking maybe stop and get a field goal. No, Browns go all the way down the field, get a touchdown, and that was really the backbreaker right there.
Yeah.
On both sides of the ball. At least they didn't give up. I'll give them that. But that's about all I can give them is they didn't give up.
Yeah.
That was a tough one to take. I think I just came out of it today.
Well, I mean, Yeah, it's just hard. It it like I said, you can't just. I mean, nobody played well on the Steelers. I mean, Roethlisberger had 4 interceptions, which you can't blame all of it on Roethlisberger because obviously Cleveland's defense came out.
Oh,
So I mean,
well, yeah, like I think three of them were chipped, but
yeah. So
still,
you can't blame it all on Roethlisberger, but at the same time, you can blame a little bit on Roethlisberger. It's about decision making. Um,
of course.
and then, like you said, the defense played bad. Um, the offensive line was not protecting whatsoever.
When you get up 21-0, defense is just going to pin their ears back and come after you.
So the
You dug
Steelers.
your own grave right
So
there.
it makes you think. It makes you think next year. Next year, do you set all your starters the game before and let them get rested, or do you make them play? Do you make them play so that way they're not rusty come playoff time? That's exactly what it looked like. They got that week off and they were rusty. So it makes you think.
Yeah, that's a valid point, really, because yeah, they looked like they were flat-footed,
Mhm.
and like
They just weren't ready.
didn't have the same. They were just a step slow in that first quarter, first half, really. Well, all game, but
Yeah.
they started to get it together. But yeah, just last week with second and third stringers, they were playing ball.
Yeah.
So
They could have, should have.
I can't understand it.
Yeah,
But Steelers have 19 unrestricted free agents this year coming up.
yeah.
Who knows if Roethlisberger is coming back? Front office, and one of the many things I know about the Steelers is they hire good football. If you're hired to do a job, do your job, and you better do your job. There's not going to be any, micromanaging from the top down. If you're hired to be an offensive coordinator, that's your job. You better do it. If you're hired to be a general manager, you're expected, and they let you do your job. We'll be back next year.
Yeah, they've got some tweaking to do. Obviously, we'll see. We'll see how they do. So, just real quick, I'll get back to pro football here in a minute, but just the last game of the week. Yeah, Monday we had the national championship game. Alabama rolls all over Ohio State. um,
I got that one.
yeah, I did not get that one. Just in case you were wondering, uh, yeah, I that was sad. Um, man, I really thought Ohio State was going to carry some momentum. I really thought they were, and Alabama.
I thought it,
Good job, Alabama.
I
Good
thought
job.
it'd be a little closer than that, but there's
I
just too many
obviously
weapons.
did too.
They, I, one team shouldn't be allowed to have that many weapons on offense. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's not fair.
This is fine. For the past couple of years, Alabama haven't been themselves yet, and I was like, well, you know, this was them. I mean, they're back. You know, they had a few years in a row where it was just like that's the team to beat, and then the last couple of years, you've had Clemson jump up in there and stuff, and you've had Georgia, come up here, and you're like, well, maybe, 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 but no, this was. I think this year's Alabama team would have beat last year's LSU team. Actually,
Mm. That
I
would
think so.
that would have been an intriguing matchup, man. Wow, I would like to see that ball game.
Uh, I
Yeah,
would
that offense for LSU last year probably could have stood toe to toe with Alabama's offense.
I would pay whatever I had to go watch that game.
Wow.
Man, that would be fun. But
Man, if you
I
got up to
think,
go to the bathroom, you'd miss a time, probably.
yeah, yeah, that's where halftime comes in. But I think this year's Alabama team would have beat last year's LSU team. Not by much, maybe by a
Yeah.
touchdown, maybe by a field goal, but I think, man, Nick Saban's just awesome, and his recruiting is even more awesome. It's crazy. All right,
Yeah, I
so
mean, what the reason? I mean, what else do you have in Alabama besides besides the Tide, man? Like, what's there? I mean, you have to. I mean,
yeah,
as a
I guess
player,
that's true. I guess that's true. I guess that's true. Every state has to have something, and they have college football. Definitely not college basketball, even though Alabama came up with a big win last night. I don't know if you watch any basketball, but they came out with a big win last night.
I didn't catch that one last night, but Alabama's a few years ago had a nice team. Yeah, all right,
Well,
they're a football school.
yeah, they're definitely a football school. They beat Kentucky. So the most surprising thing I've ever seen in the world, Kentucky has a losing record in basketball 13 games into the season.
Mhm.
Cannot believe that. Kentucky is awful. Kentucky is awful. And my boys last night pulled out, beat KU, and if we weren't suspended, we'd be up there in the top 10. Maybe that'd be kind of cool. But anyway, this is a football show. In case you're watching, so in case you're wondering, so we'll go back to some football. I'll go back to the NFL. I just want to touch on the national championship. Wasn't fun at all. I watched a little bit of it. It was just, gosh, it was horrible. Wasn't even fun. So Peterson's out. Philadelphia's moving on. They need a new head coach now. Sean, what's your thoughts?
um, who they go to? I mean, it's been proven lately. Just bringing in a coach who's supposed to be like a quarterback whisperer isn't always the way to go. Head coach needs to coach the whole team.
Yeah.
So, I don't think you go out and get one of those so-called quarterback whisperers, even though you need to figure out what you have in Hurst. But I think that's what quarterback coaches and offensive coordinators are for. They need to bring in someone who can bring the locker room together and manage the whole team. I don't know who that is. What are your thoughts?
I know either. Something interesting. I heard a rumor Jacksonville's been reaching out for him. Maybe Philadelphia might want to try to offer him a big deal too. Urban Meyer, maybe someone like that. I've, I've had some friends tell me, oh, there's no way he's going to be back to coaching again. But you don't tell a bull to be a horse. It just, he's a coach. He's a great coach, and that's what he does.
Mm-hmm.
If he gets a chance to coach in the pros for, and possibly take a horrible Eagles team to the playoffs or even to a championship or something like that, just make a legendary legacy even more legendary for Urban Meyer. I don't see why he would pass that up since he's such a great coach. He obviously loves to do it. I don't know who loses in that situation, but just an idea I had.
Hold on. Hold on one second. Go lay down. Lay down. Right.
Is your goats being mean or something?
No, it's Lucy and Pepper.
Oh, Lucy and Pepper. All right, so
Yeah, Irving Meyer, coaches like that, I think he's going to want to try his hand at the NFL. He's going to want to see if he can have that kind of success, on the biggest stage. It's a different game though. Pros is a different game than college. Not many guys can make that transition.
I think he could, if anybody could.
Yeah,
He was one heck of a coach.
you're right. Coaches want to coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the last point of the day, the divisional round next week. We're down to 8 teams. 8 teams remaining. Only one really has a shot at winning anything, but hey, who am I? Who am I? All right. So first up, the Rams go to Wisconsin to visit the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are favored by 6.5. Uh, I'll let you pick first on these.
I'm going. I don't think this is going to be a shock. I'm going with the Packers. In Green Bay, I don't think unless it's a snowstorm, I don't think there's a big advantage. But Aaron Rodgers, they've got a real team around them this year. And why that Rams defense was scary good last week, I got to believe that Aaron Rodgers plays better than Wilson, and they get the job.
I've been sold
And
on.
and yeah, if if Goff's thumb's still bothering him, and it's a cold night or cold morning, yeah, that could affect his thumb, man. I don't know if you ever had a thumb injury, man, but those things, when it gets cold, and the ball smacks against it, ouch! It's not fun.
I tell you, um, I'm a I'm a competitive bowler, formerly nationally ranked. I mean, nationally ranked competitor in bowling, and let me tell you something. You can't get much done with a thumb injury there. So I I completely understand that feeling. I understand that. So, but I've been telling you all season. I think Green Bay is the team to beat in the NFC. I think Green Bay is gonna win the NFC. So I'm sold. I'm sold on Green Bay taking it by 6.5.
Especially
So,
6.5. Yeah, I feel good about 6.5.
oh, I do too. Yeah. If it was 10, now I took a couple tens last week that I felt good about that obviously I shouldn't have. So I would have been a little weary this week, but 6.5, that's easy. So next up, so let's finish out the NFC. The Buccaneers play the Saints for the third time this year, and the Saints are favored by 3.
Three. Yeah,
3.
three.
Yep.
I I'm looking for the Saints on this one. Although the Buccaneers scare me, they really did. They've been, like we said, they've been playing good ball at the end of the season. They played pretty well last week, but I just think the Saints have their number, man. And I know
I
it's
don't
hard to beat a team 3 times in 1 year, but
I don't know if
I, I'm comfortable with giving it 3 and taking the Saints.
I don't know if I'm just crazy. I don't know if this up and down weather is getting to my brain. I don't know what, but I am more and more comfortable with the Buccaneers every second. And I'm going to take the Buccaneers. Um, the Buccaneers are not only going to beat the spread, I think the Buccaneers are going to beat the Saints in New Orleans this weekend. Um, just the Saints had a pretty convincing win last week, but it was the Bears. It wasn't too convincing. New Orleans has Tom Brady. Like I said, after they lost to the Saints twice, they decided to start stepping it up, and they showed us who they could be. So I think it's a whole new team. I think it's a whole new ball game. I take the Bucks
All
over.
right, all right, then we got a good game there.
So
I still
now
think.
let's go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh, let's move on to the AFC now. Browns Chiefs. Chiefs are favored by 10.
Um, I'm gonna just make it interesting. I'm gonna take the Browns in 10. I hate to do it. God damn, I hate to do it. But I think the Chiefs will win. But I like the 10, man. Is it 10, 9.5? What is it?
Yeah, I have it at 10.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. Well, I feel comfortable with 10. I feel more than comfortable with 10. I think I think we can easily win by 17. I'm taking the Chiefs all day. If it was any of the other teams, I might not even if it was the Bucks, Saints, Bills, Rams, even the Rams, Green Bay, I might not feel comfortable with 10. But the Browns, so up and down. I don't trust them to have two great games in a row. I feel comfortable with the Chiefs taking it with 10. All right. Might be the most fun game of the playoffs. The Ravens and the Bills. The Bills are favored by 2.5
I think we're both in agreement on this one. I'm going Bills 2.5. Come on, it's fine.
all day.
No problem with that.
I would have taken them. I would have taken them at 7. Honestly.
You know what? I think I would have too. Yeah,
Yeah.
I maybe it's the Raven hater in me, but I still don't think they're for real, man.
And to flip what you just said, the Bills are. The Bills are a good team.
Yeah,
The Bills are a good
yeah,
football
they
team.
really are.
Yeah. So yeah, there's no reason why the Bills can't beat the Ravens by 2.5.
I would say that even though I picked the Browns in that game, I think the best AFC championship would be the Bills and the Chiefs.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It and more than more than likely that's what's going to happen, and I think it'll be fun. I can't wait. I definitely can't wait. I love. I'm just ready for some football. I'm ready for some Chiefs football again. I basically 2 weeks without watching the Chiefs play. That last week against the Chargers doesn't count because we didn't play anybody, so that doesn't count. And then we had a bye, so I've been missing my Chiefs. So I'm glad we get to play again. But
Yeah, I've been in a lot of those situations with the Steelers where they wrap up everything and then they just don't play anybody, and it seems like a month before you see a relevant game again, and it drives
yeah,
me crazy. So I
yeah,
know how you feel.
yeah, and with oh yeah, just crazy. Uh-oh, ESPN. Oh, basketball stuff. Basketball stuff. All right, well, so that's the divisional round. We are Sean and I have two picks that differ from each other. Again, we had two picks last week that differed. He won both of them last week. Um, well, he might do the same thing this week. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Well,
RJ,
we differed on two games, so
yeah,
it'll
we
be fun.
differed on two games last week. We differed on two games this week. So we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. Other than that, I have to go. My brother is finally back in school, and his school lets out before too long, so I will have to go pick him up. And I know we're running low on time anyway, so thanks everybody for watching. If you have anything, if you have anything you want to say, if you think we're crazy, if you think we're spot on, please let us know. Please like, please subscribe, and you know, just stay safe out there. This is a crazy world we live in today, so please stay safe. And
Yeah.
until next week, have a good day.
All right.